Okay, thank you very much. So this presentation is going to be about cryptocurrency and blockchains and how blockchain technology can be applied in gaming industry. So I have a couple of pre-extract concepts, and that's why I was so keen in opening the presentation. So my name is Tomas. I'm coming from a game development company, and we create betting games, and then we integrate blockchain inside these games so we can provide more transparency and better gameplay for final user. So just to start the topic, I would like to give a short interview where the current state of the blockchain is when it comes to smart contracts and transparency. Yes, most of you already heard about ICOs, about other kind of projects, exchanges, cryptocurrency trading. But the thing is that most ICOs, they are not really functioning, and they raise a lot of capital, and they have a promise to build something fascinating in the upcoming 2 years. And the funny thing is that if we take a look at the projects which are functioning today, so 72 out of 100 top Ethereum projects are betting related or games related. So it seems like betting and games industry was really fast in the adaptation of this technology. Before I dive deeper, I would like to give a short explanation how the system functions, and it doesn't really require much technical knowledge. So to illustrate the thing, imagine you're trying to create a classical roulette game, and you want to launch it in Cyprus market or in other kind of different market. So first step, what do? You hire a developer, and then this developer writes a code which defines your logic of your roulette game. And then the next step is you take the code and then you upload it on the server. So in a lot of cases, the server is coming from Amazon or a different provider. And in the end of the day, your developer uploads your code in your centralized server. And then you host it on the website, and then once you attract traffic, user goes to your website, and then on the back end, his device is directly connected to the server where your code is laying in, and that's a direct connection. Now let's imagine that you want to create a blockchain-based roulette. So what do? You hire a developer. A developer writes code. So in this industry, usually codes which are being uploaded on the blockchain are referred as smart contracts. But in the end of the day, it's the same programming code which defines the logic of the game. And then instead of uploading code to the server, you upload it on distributed network of servers. And usually this network is usually referred as distributed ledger or a blockchain. And and in the other day, it's the same program code, just you upload it on a different location. So instead of uploading it on the server, you upload it on a distributed network of servers. And then you give access to the final user. And then user goes to your website, and then the code execution happens from a distributed ledger. So that's the one difference. This difference is quite unique because distributed ledger has many servers connected in a giant network. It's like millions of computers connected into one network, and they have tons of processing power. So currently, the blockchain network, we can say it's most powerful supercomputer which exists today. And the way it works, when you upload the code, so that means every server which is connected on the blockchain has 100% pure copy of your game's code. So that means every person who wants to connect to the blockchain, they need to download the node, and the node already has a copy of your game. And then, usually these clusters are called nodes, but in the end of the day, we can refer it as a separate server owned by individual. And that's what these miners are doing. So they're buying the processing power and they're connecting their computers to the network. So the more miners we have, larger processing power we have. And then once player connects to your game, so system randomly chooses a server, and then this server executes code. So in this case, if you have a centralized system, so that means if you host it on Amazon, so Amazon executes your code. And if you host your game on the blockchain network, so miner does execution process. So if you heard about miners and miner fees, so that's exactly what they're doing. They're executing your code. And the fee is the processing fee. So it's the same fee as you would pay for Amazon. So in this case, you are paying for miner for your game storage and game execution. Yeah, another interesting feature is that to make sure that the server executes your code, so other servers, they become validators. And once you launch a game, so the roulette game, and a miner executes your game, like other servers, they need to validate that this is pure and 100% code which you developed. Yeah, and this system gives three new features which were not really existing in IT industry. And one of most notable feature is that since network contains millions of computers, so that means we have millions of Bitcoin miners or Ethereum miners, it becomes impossible to shut down the network because network has computer distribution in almost every country, and there is no regulator, no company or no government which can easily shut it down. So that means the network became like a part of our society, something as rivers, mountains. It's just is a part of the society, and you can't really do anything about that. Then once you upload the code becomes transparent. So it's something similar I would compare to like foods industry. Like a lot of people are interested in what kind of meat they are eating. So they usually dig deeper into distribution chain, and then they ask, is your beef grass-fed or grain-fed? So here it's pretty much the same. When we have a transparent code, like a final user who uses an application, he can easily see with what kind of code he's interacting with. And the last feature, which is really powerful, so the network allows to create digital assets, and this was not really possible before too. And imagine you have a game and you want to create like a bicycle. So this is a game, like you have like a role-playing game and you have a bicycle and you want to upload it on the game. So then you create a code for this bicycle, you upload it on the distributed ledger, and then the bicycle has unique ID assigned. So let's say your ID starts with EX234. It's just an example, and then you have limited amount of bikes. So let's say you have 5 bikes. And then once you upload it on the chain, like all servers become validators, and they validate the quantity and your unique ID of the bike. So that means it becomes impossible to make a copy of your bike, and you have limited amount of specific bikes with a specific ID number. And that's the same process how any cryptocurrency is created. Technically, it's like a number in the Excel sheet, that this number has unique ID. And validators, they make sure that it's impossible to duplicate this Excel sheet. And here, using this feature, you can create not only cryptocurrencies, but you can create almost anything. And for the gaming industry, that means if you're creating like role-playing game, so you can create armor, items, and different assets which have limited supply, and people can actually trade these items as they would trade cars or any other item from real economy. And these 3 features, they give 2 main use cases for gaming and betting industry. So the first is what I would say transparent betting. So a game which has games uploaded in the blockchain has a really transparent code. And why does it matter? Because betting industry does random number generation. So that means when you shuffle cards, on a classical casino, card shuffling process happens inside the server. And in a lot of cases, operator has full power to cheat against own players, and especially smaller operators, which have pretty weak business units, they have a strong incentive to cheat against players in order to make more profits. However, if you have developed games on the blockchain and your code is uploaded, so that means the processing happens on distributed ledger, and the operator cannot influence random number generation. So that means like both player and any participant in the system can have full trust how random number is being generated, and it gives enormous amount of transparency for games such as lottery, blackjack, roulette, any game which requires random number generation.
And also, really important note, what I would like to distinguish, that an operator which integrates the cryptocurrency has nothing to do with the blockchain. Because a regular operator which operates on centralized server uses cryptocurrency as a payment method, but it doesn't use transparency, smart contracts, or any other features that blockchain provides. So if you want to use these features, you need to use an operator which has games developed specifically in blockchain programming language, and these games are uploaded on blockchain infrastructure. So only these games can provide transparency element for the final user. And I guess a lot of people who deal with online betting, they have faced a lot of situations where customers they claim that the casino they cheat against them, that the card shuffling is not transparent, then they lose trust in the brand, or in some cases they write a letter to regulatory commission asking for a refund. However, if you use these kind of games, so then it's not an issue anymore, because you have an actual proof how randomness was generated in your casino. And then second case is digital assets. And right now I'm going to go through a really concrete examples of already functioning projects which successfully use these two cases, and they become way better products, and they can offer much more to customers than traditional games or classical casinos. So first, most notable example would be CryptoKitties, and they utilize this digital game asset concept. So why it became so popular, even though the gameplay is super boring, it's the reason because they were first project which utilized the concept of digital assets. So that means this kitty which has a price, the kitty, the ID of the kitty is uploaded on the blockchain / distributed network of servers, and that means it's impossible to duplicate these kitties. So this kitty belongs to me, and no government, no third-party organization, no other company, not even game developer can take this kitty from me, and I have 100% ownership of that kitty. And this game is pretty much about buying these kitty assets, and then you merge kitties into better kitties, and then you sell for more expensive price. The second game would be CryptoBots. So it's pretty much the similar case as CryptoKitties, just these CryptoBots, they can fight each other, and that's how they progress. So let's say you purchase a really expensive CryptoBot, so probably the price was determined by a number of victories or losses the bot had. Then we have another interesting project which combines gaming and betting. So it's called First Blood. And so far they provide their services for Dota 2. So Dota 2 is a really competitive 5 versus 5 a game in MOBA genre. And so right now you can play this game, and through their system you can find other opponents who would be interested in doing bets against you. So that means right now you can not only play games, but you can play games and make, let's say, $50 bet that my team is going to win. And then it matches with other team which places a bet of $50. And then the main idea is that in this case you're not only playing the game, but once you have a bet made, so your incentive to play it really good, and also the emotions which you can experience once the bet is placed, it's way much higher. So it's a pretty interesting form of entertainment for people who they want to escalate their emotions while playing games. Then our company, so we make this transparent betting. So we create classical casino games which generate randomness. And then games are using the blockchain infrastructure. So that means information such as how many deposits, how many withdrawals, what's the size of the bankroll, how the size of the bankroll of the casino is changing is publicly available to every player. Also the way we generate randomness is publicly available to the player. And people who are playing on our games, they can have full trust in the system, that this system is not cheating against players. And it helps to improve conversion rates when we want to attract players who lost trust in casino brands. Then the funny thing is, once you have this option to create digital assets, and people can, take these assets and then they can trade them. So right now, next to cryptocurrency market, we have marketplace for digital assets. And right now, all these games which created CryptoKitties, bots, like armors, special cards, limited edition cards. So these items, they're raising in value because more and more people are playing these games. And there's even a marketplace where you can trade your kitty into bot, or you can trade, whatever digital asset you can trade. And also, what's funny thing about assets, these assets become even currency in some cases. So I guess most people already heard about like Counter-Strike skin betting. So right now there are more operators which are creating blockchain asset betting, and then you can bet your kitty, you can bet your robot, or you can bet like any other blockchain asset on the game. And last but not least, so that's an example. All the projects are already functioning, but this one is not launched yet. But it's kind of worth mentioning because that's a part where things get really weird. So what they're trying to do, they're building like a virtual city, and they're using the same mechanism for digital assets to sell property in the city. So they have created a map which has a fixed amount of land, and each square of the land has unique ID. And also they have a marketplace where they sell this land in the marketplace. So right now thousands of people are buying land in this virtual city, and then they have full ownership of that land. And then once the city will be launched, hopefully this year, so then the owners of the land, they will be allowed to build whatever they want on their purchased area. So some people are already planning to build like shops, other people are planning to build casinos. Also, the virtual city is planning to have its own governance system. So it's going to be like separate country with own economy, with own digital assets, operating somewhere in the internet. But in the end of the day, it's run by real people. And that's why the name of the presentation is then why, when you have more digital assets, these digital assets can actually compete and participate in the real economy. So I do believe that, like in the far future, the city has a great chance, of generating like a decent amount of GDP through gambling services, shopping services, or any other kind of service which you can provide in the realm of virtual reality. Summarizing all this thing, just a short summary. So we will have more operators choosing blockchain infrastructure to provide more transparent games. We will have betting element incorporated not only in casino games, lotteries, but it's going to be a strong element of any game, like Counter-Strike, Dota 2, or any other shooting game. And it makes sense because it creates a much more engaging gaming experience. Then we will have more marketplaces for digital assets where people will be able to sell not only cryptocurrency, but their virtual land, their virtual cars, virtual houses, and any other asset in a virtual world. And of course, regulators will have a lot of work because it adds enormous amount of complexity when it comes to regulating these things, especially when you take into consideration that this kind of system is impossible. It's impossible to shut it down, and also it becomes impossible to regulate or like sue CryptoKitty owner of the CryptoKitty, because in the end, the CryptoKitty owner has a CryptoKitty as a cryptocurrency, and you can really send the police to a person and ask, okay, can you send your CryptoKitty to the governmental institution? So yeah, in the future, like the trend is that regulators will start regulating, and it might be that they will have a lot of challenges, and I guess it's one of the reasons why United States legalized gambling, because right now more operators, they have more tools to overcome any possible regulation. And I guess they realize that if they are not legalizing that, so then they will have like a lot of trouble, and operators will operate in the shadow anyway. That was my last. note of the presentation. Thank you very much.